Hi, and welcome to this brief introduction into how to customize your physical store and the design that we're talking about today. So if you haven't done so already, by all means feel free to log into Shopify.com and actually gain access to your store. And once you're there, you want to go to the left side navigation and click Online Store. That's actually going to default you to the themes page, which is actually where you're going to find your physical store. You want to go ahead and select your current store and customize it by clicking this customize button right over here. Go ahead and do that, and it's going to throw you into the back-end system. This is the design of your physical store. Now, if you notice here at the top, it's going to default to the home page. If you want to go ahead and actually physically customize other pages in your store and see what those pages are, simply click this drop-down arrow right here. A drop-down menu is going to appear. You're going to physically see all the various pages in your store. Now, when it comes to the cart and the checkout, again, they are pre-designed for you, as well as the other pages, depending on the theme that you've actually been assigned or the theme that you've selected. You always have the option to choose other themes out there. Now, if you notice here with the checkout, I want to point this out, that with the checkout, if you notice over here, you don't have the ability necessarily to select any additional features added to this specific checkout, but you do in fact have the option to customize your cart by simply clicking Add Section. And we'll delve deeper into that when we get back to the home page. But moving on over here, you have the ability to default over here whether or not you have an international store or the United States. By all means, you have the ability to do that there. Maybe there's a different look and feel that you want for an international store. That's up to you. Now, default is just exactly that. It's the main theme. Right over here, you have the option to view your store in various ways. Now, right up here, we have the desktop looking version. This is what it's going to look like on a PC. But if you want to see what it's going to look like in a mobile setting, you can actually just click this little icon right over here and flip between the two as you design your store to really get a sense as far as what it's going to look like overall for all users. Again, this is the full screen option. And if you've made some changes over here, you're going to have the ability to save those changes. Of course, it goes without saying that you have to save those changes in order for it to take effect in your physical store. But it's a very user-friendly system. Now, over here at the left side, it's going to show simply that it's live. It's going to give you the name of this physical theme that you have. And then it's going to give you the option to exit out of this section here. These three little dots over here, with these three little dots, if you notice here, it's going to give you the ability to view the physical store. It's going to give you the ability to view documentation, get support. You can edit the default theme content. But most importantly, I want to point this out. Edit default theme content is essentially what we are in right now. So that's how you get back into it if you've exited out of it. Now, edit code, as we've said before. Edit code, as I've said before, in reality, if you are not a developer, I highly recommend that you do not touch this section, because if you touch one section, it may impact other pages and impact the functionality of your physical store. So feel free just to keep that in mind if you want to go ahead and edit. Make sure that you edit actually in your physical store. Now let's get back into that customization. Okay, so this is the home page. So we've talked about the top now. I just want to briefly point this out, that you do have the option here to see theme settings. And then you have the option to app embeds. App embed section in this a good example is if you've added additional functionality via additional apps that Shopify allows you, you're going to have the option to gain access to those specific apps through this specific section right here. And then once you gain access to that specific app, you're going to be able to use the features in that specific app by simply enabling that app or disabling it. So if you have themes in your store, you'll notice that your store for Shopify, store actually has additional apps that you can add onto your store to give you additional functionality, and you can gain access to all those various apps that you've added to your store simply through this icon right over here. Again, theme settings is just delving deeper into the look and design of your specific store. The logo right here, it goes without saying that once you have your store, if you have a custom logo, get into this theme settings, access the logo section, click the change button, select that specific image from your library. If you do not have it in your library, it will give you the option to add that image. Click add image, upload your logo in your specific library, select it, and then click done, and that's how it'll physically be added. It's really that simple. So again, if you want to edit it, just click change. If they also offer the option to select various images from their free library. But I will say this about their free library. If you browse through their free images, you're going to notice that in reality, there's not much of a selection. So unfortunately, that is a downfall of Shopify. When it comes to images, they really do not have a lot to choose from. You're going to have to more than likely, if you want to use images, use them from external sources like Pixabay, Pexels. Here they recommend Burst. So choose other images from external sites that, of course, it goes without saying, that have no copyrights, that you have the ability to use those images before you actually upload them into your library. So again, selecting something from your library just also allows you the opportunity to add an image to your library. So that's how you change your logo. If you want to change the look and feel of specific colors on your websites, you have the ability through other sections to do that. But if you notice here, it's also going to give you options of themes. But just again, I want to emphasize this with a humongous exclamation point. One of the things that you need to make sure you do is create a copy of your specific store. And the reason you want to make sure is that you work off, did you have an extra copy saved somewhere of your physical store, is if by chance you actually go ahead and make some changes here, and for whatever reason, you being new to Shopify, you can't undo that change, you at least have a copy to go back to. Obviously, you don't want to be in that situation, but by having a copy of your existing store, if God forbid something happens and you change the complete look and design of your store and you can't get it back, you always have that backup copy to refer back to. Typography, again, is fonts. Layout, again, is page width, grid, horizontals. Again, you really just want to make sure that before you click this save button, that you preview the change that's taken effect and that you feel 100% confident before you click that save button and commit to that change. Here, again, buttons, you have the ability to edit the physical buttons, the thickness, the opacity, the dynamics of the corners. Again, just delving deeper. There's a lot of, if you notice here on these screen options, a lot of variations of settings. You need to be absolutely certain, if you're not necessarily seeing the change on a specific button, it may be that that button functionality and changing the look and design is housed into the sections area versus this theme settings. So just bear that in mind. Again, delving deeper down into inputs, it goes without saying, inputs are in fact inputs, things that people key in. Like if you have a contact form on your website, which that does come with on the website, you'll have the ability to go ahead and view that, but you actually have the options to go ahead and make some additional features change. Okay, so with that being said, let's see, product cards. Again, product cards in reality, you're going to have the ability to see images here. If you want to go ahead and change the look of the corners, if you want to say expand all that stuff, you're going to have the ability to do all that good stuff. Blogs, if you're dealing with blogs, collections, media, again, just delve deeper. I'm not going to go into all of these, but you're going to see, in fact, that you have the ability to customize your store on a very high level depending on what options you choose. Again, drop downs and pop-ups, you have the ability to change the thickness. Now let's get into the actual main section. It's called sections here. Okay, so as we delve into customizing our store, the main focus when you first gain access to your store is going to be this default section, which, as you notice up at the top, it's called sections. Your store is essentially that. Everything in your design is a section. Think of it that way. And if you notice down over here, it says the header section right over here, you can add additional sections. The template, you can add additional sections. A section over here is like considered a banner. Let's go ahead and just click add section. Here is the various sections that you can add that Shopify gives you with your store. If you notice as you hover over these specific type of sections that you can add design-wise, you're going to see what does the design look like. A featured collection, featured products, collection lists, images with text. Look at it, a slideshow, multi-column. Look at the design structure and physically see whether or not it's a section that you want to add. Now, with that being said, if you've actually purchased additional sections, additional pieces of functionality from the actual add-ons of vendors that Shopify allows you to do, you're going to see them actually signed over here, appear here with an SS. SS is basically Shopify's section store, and that's essentially what they do. For an additional cost, you can add additional pieces of functionality. If you notice here, this comparison cart or this comparison table did not come with this template. It had to be purchased, and the purchase price was $9. So if you choose, you can view the actual functionality in this section Shopify store, and they give you a price tag of typically $9. If you like the look and design of it for $9, you can buy that specific piece of functionality, and it'll automatically, once you've paid $9, appear in your sections. So you do have the options to physically add on additional sections, so you're not necessarily limited to just that. Now, I want to point this out with a humongous exclamation point, that as you delve deeper into these various components here, if you notice you highlight them, you're going to gain access to the section specifically up here. But what I want to point out is when we talk about customization, for instance, this look and feel of, let's say, the world's coziest blanket, this section of the website right over here. If you notice here, as you highlight this area, it's going to throw you to that specific section, which is called SS Image Gallery. And if you go back here, you're going to see it right over here. You can literally click SS Image Gallery, and you're going to delve deeper into how do you actually update this specific section right through the left side navigation. If you notice here, the world's coziest blanket, if you notice up here, it's called the world's coziest blanket. So if you want to edit that specific title up here, all we would do is just key in right over here, and it automatically appears as updating here. Now, if you want to increase the font size, right now it's set at 52. Maybe you want the header of the world's coziest blanket to be a lot higher. All you have to do is slide this up here, and it's going to make the world's coziest blanket a lot higher. If you want to bring it back down, all you have to do is go ahead and click 52, bringing it back down. This Insta title right down here, if you notice, perfect for napping, relaxing, cuddling. This is this title right here. So it's, like I said, it's definitely up to you on what you want to add to these sections. Preview the section, see if it's a section you want to add. In this case, it was an image gallery. And then play around with it. If by chance you no longer want this specific section, and you say, well, you know what, I added this section to the design of my web page. I don't like the way it looks. I want to get rid of it. All you have to do is click the trash can. If by chance you design something like this example right here of this image gallery, and for whatever reason you no longer want it appearing on the web page, but maybe you actually want to physically just save it there for later, you do have the feature to click this little eye, and in which case, if you do that, it's no longer on your web page. If you want it to reappear on your web page, by all means, feel free to click the eye, and it'll automatically appear again. One of the good things, again, as I've said, is you can move things around. You do have the options to do that. With the gallery, if you notice over here, you can just click in the photos, and you'll gain access to upload that image. Now, if you want to go ahead and move anything, whether it's on the left side or the right side, if you notice here, you're always going to see these little dots, these little gray 6 dots. If they appear, that means that you can physically move whatever content that is around. Let's use this as an example. If you wanted to go ahead and instead of this Shopify button image being right here, if we wanted to make it the main photo, all we have to do is we have to find it on the gallery photo. We have to make sure that it's selected with the hand and literally just move it. And if you notice, it actually threw it right there. It's not the main photo, but it threw it right there at the top. If we want to move it back down, we want to go ahead and move it down. Now, if you noticed, every time you make a change to your physical store, it's not necessarily a done deal. You physically have to click save before it'll make sure that you are 100% certain that that change is going to take effect. So keep that in mind. Don't necessarily exit out of here. If you exit out of here and not save it, that means the changes is not going to take effect. So that pretty much wraps up image gallery. Again, if you scroll through your web page, which is what we're staring at right here, this specific scroll bar right here, this is again an SS scrolling text. It basically, again, was bought from the Shopify section store, SS being section store. It is, again, additional functionality that I had to pay $9 for this specific functionality in order for that specific functionality to be available in my sections area right over here. If you notice right here, you do have the ability to see more. And if you notice down here, scrolling text, it gives you the example of what it's going to look like on your website. And that's this right here, scrolling text. So this is a $9. Now the section store does have some free additional functionality that you can browse through that store and physically actually not necessarily have to purchase them, but they do come for free. This is another SS feature. Again, this means that it's either free or it's something that had to be paid $9 to get on your store list. And this is, again, another added feature. If you click on the feature, you're going to have the ability to edit the feature. If you notice here, I have the ability to say free shopping on orders over 50. If I wanted to say free shopping on orders over 100, all I have to do is to the top, change it to 100. And if you notice, it automatically changed it to 100. Now, in order for the change to take effect, I'd have to save it. But if you notice also here, you also physically have the ability to remove a section. If you add something to your website and you do not want to see it, I told you can hide it, but you do have the trash can there, but you also have the trash can once you highlight it and you can remove it that way. So that's how you would go ahead and edit that. Again, if you scroll on down here, I emphasize this, that you're really going to have to play around with, like, say, the text. If you wanted to say increase the text all the way high, and you're going to see the change real time. Okay, now if you wanted to change the speed of the scroll, all you have to do is either change it up or down. If you notice, if you increase the speed, it actually lessens the speed. If you notice now, it's super speed at 15. Again, your mobile setting and your desktop setting are two completely different things. And if there's a different setting that needs to happen for your mobile, it will tell you that. In this case, this is scroll speed on your mobile, and in which case you have to go ahead and update it there. Now, again, to remove this entire section, if you notice down here, you have a remove section. Again, you have the ability to remove that simply by clicking remove. Same situation here. This little feature of the free shipping, our products, hassle-free returns. If you click on the highlighted area, it's going to show you how do you customize it. And you can do all the font size changes right there. So go ahead and do that. Right here is if you see font family. If you click font family, you're going to have the ability to choose what type of font you want to appear. And literally go ahead and change the font style right there. Now, when it comes to the physical content of the item, you're going to change that by clicking feature item. And if you notice, it's called free shipping here on feature number 1. If I wanted to change it to, say, 1-1, all I do is there, and it changes it on the screen instantaneously. You have the ability, again, to delve deeper into code areas. If you are a developer and feel comfortable doing that, by all means, you don't necessarily have to do that. You have the ability to upload in certain section images if you so choose. If you notice here, even the subtext, all orders over 50, if you wanted to change that to 100, all you have to do is change 100 right there. My point is this, simply this. Select the feature that you want to change. Go to the left side navigation, play around with it. Once you like the way it is, then click the save button over there. And that is pretty much as simple as it gets. If you do not like it, you have the ability to select the feature and do the trash can and remove it. You also have the ability to remove the section all in its entirety by using the trash can over here. Again, this design standpoint from Shopify is very user-friendly, extremely intuitive. But when it comes to the labor of the look and feel, you really have to have a good selection of images to get your store up and running. And in order for you to do that, you're not going to get the images with their actual designs. So keep that in mind. Now, again, that's viewing the site over here. As we mentioned before, you always have the option to view the physical store by clicking that. If you noticed, all we did is click these 3 buttons up here, click view, and it automatically pops open and shows you what the store looks like. So this is what the physical store looks like right now. So it's a nice little added feature, nice and easy for you to physically see what it's going to look like real time. Now, when we talk about these different sections over here, I just want to emphasize this again, that when you first get into this design, it's going to default to the home. If by chance you want to go ahead and edit the menu, that is again through the navigation settings. When we talk about what is really in the store, it comes down to this: the home page, the product page. And you can choose the product page like this. And again, you're into the product page, and you have the options to go ahead and do the same thing, which is select from the left side navigation and make any necessary adjustments that you want. The product page is going to come pre-designed at a very high level. If you want additional pieces of functionality, add them to your section store through here by purchasing additional pieces of functionality. Select them. Once you select them, you just add them. Let's use this as an example. We have this specific product page. If we want to go ahead and add something to this store, if we want to add something right here between these 2 sections, all you have to do is go to the add section right over here, and you're going to select add section. It's going to say, okay, well, what do you want to select? Say theoretically you wanted to select a collage and stick it into the web page. It now appears physically there. Now, if by chance, for whatever reason, we've added this specific piece of functionality or this section to this store or this web page, and we don't want it below the comparison, but we want it above, all you have to do is take the collage, find the 6 little gray arrows, and move it to wherever you want it to appear on the web page. And that's really as simple as it gets. When you want to physically make the changes to that physical collage, go into the image section, upload your image from your library, add it if it's not there from your desktop, and you'll be able to upload it. If you want to select it from an image in our existing library, all we have to do is select the image, click done, and it'll automatically add that image to that specific section of the web page. It really is that simple. Now, when it comes to this section, Shopify is telling you that this in reality is a product. So in this case, you just highlight the area that needs to be changed. It shows you here, select a product from your list. You select whatever product you want to portray here. And it updates it. Over here, you select this icon here. It says select a collection. Let's select the collection. We want to go ahead and choose a different collection. Let's say this collection. Now we've done physically changing this whole brand new section that we've added. So you want to go ahead and say select at the bottom. You physically changed it. So if we click save, it's going to physically adopt it right now, which we're not going to physically do because I don't want to make sure I don't make this change now. But if you wanted to go ahead and view it real time, you would need to save it if you wanted to view it through your physical store. If you want to just view it the way it looks here, you have the options to do that by just clicking the view settings if you want to see what it's going to look like in the mobile setting. And that really is as simple as it gets. Now, if we've added this collage and for whatever reason you say, you know what, I don't really like the way it looks, I want to get rid of it. Find the section that you want to get rid of, click the trash can, and it removes it in 2 seconds. But as I said before, sometimes it's better if you're not sure, just click the little eye that hides it versus actually physically removing the trash can, because once you remove it, if you've taken time to design it, you're not going to be able to get it back. You're going to have to redesign it in its entirety. So that is the products section. If you notice here, that's the home page, the products page, which is the main page that people see the physical products. I want to emphasize this, that when it comes to your products page, there again are different looks and designs that you're going to have for your add to cart, your buy it now button, even these little sections up here when it comes to products that are specific to like categories that have like apparel that have specific colors. All these little bells and whistles of this color appearing on specific products is stemming outside of your store. This is not something that you would design. It is something that you would add when you create that item in your store. And if, like in this case, this was a specific hoodie and the hoodie happened to be a color of light gray, when we created that hoodie for a light gray hoodie, we assigned it the color of light gray. When we've assigned it the light color of gray, it automatically picked up on the product page. But I want to emphasize this again, that just because it picked it up doesn't mean that you have to keep it here. You do have the option to physically remove it. You can remove it all in its entirety, meaning have the design be washed away completely, or you can simply hide it. And in which case, if you want to hide it, you want to go ahead and do that, you can do that. So just keep that in mind, that you can in fact hide certain pieces of functionality if you so choose. Now again, if say you've hidden it and you say, oh, you know what, I don't want to necessarily hide it, I want to get it back, you want to just go ahead and make sure that you in fact do not adopt a change and actually get out of your store before you save it to go back into it. Now, when it comes to other pieces of functionality, like the comparisons, that stuff is you're going to have to physically go ahead and purchase through the section store, but just keep that in mind. So that pretty much wraps it up when it comes to customizing. Again, if you want to save unchanged, you want to leave the store, you want to go ahead and just say leave the page unsaved. It allows you to be able to go back in and physically see the in fact that those changes didn't take effect. If you liked in fact the look and design of what you've designed, by all means save it. So that pretty much wraps up the design structure of your online store. It really is going to be about you playing around with your Shopify store, and of course above all else, as I've mentioned before you start playing around with it, I highly recommend creating a copy of that specific theme by clicking these 3 buttons. Clicking duplicate, create your copy so that you have the latest and the greatest backup version if God forbid something happens when you're designing it and you want to refer back to it. And I look forward to seeing you into the next section.